How's everybody's trading week been so far? Tuesday was our first trading day, first real trading day. We got, I don't know, maybe about 6 trades in, nothing crazy, maybe 6 or 7. Markets are moving a little bit. Monday was a little bit slow. OPEX, we predicted that. Not just OPEX, monthly OPEX, but quarterly quad witching. So but we had some pretty good movement yesterday, and I think we're going to start to see more and more volatility this week, less in SPY and more in Qs. That's kind of what we're seeing. SPY seems to be contained. Big mover today is Bitcoin, so we're going to be covering that. We're just going to start with our usual overcap of the markets, SPY, Qs, and then we're going to BTC, Bitcoin versus dollar, and then we're going to look at. I'm thinking about getting back into GBTC, which is a proxy for Bitcoin. It's a Bitcoin trust, and then I'm looking at HD, TGT. We'll talk about Tesla today. We pretty much called the top on Monday. It literally hit that wall and then just sold off. And then we're going to talk about Roblox, which is building. We got some movers today, but some of them have stalled a little bit. So let's go ahead and jump right into SPYs. So as we've been saying with our members and everybody the last few days, is that expect SPY volatility to be contained. It was contained last week. We're seeing that this week. Very small ranges, 1.5% on SPY. The key support for SPY right now is 387. That comes in as the gold line here, which is the monthly VWAP. And, so far I tried to rally towards the highs, 395, and it just couldn't handle it. So it's pressing on that right now. It's back up to 390 pre-market. So I think 395 might be a potential bearish play, either short or short options, with, ideally the ability to hold it, if it goes all the way up to 397, mid 397s. But I feel like we're going to press into this 387 sometime this week, assuming we get some volatility. SPY just hasn't been moving. So yeah, I just feel like there's a little overhead resistance right now that there's positioning wise, it just doesn't seem to want to break 395 too well. It just keeps rejecting on that, and it keeps finding support between 390 and 387. Qs, more volatility. We had some interesting moves yesterday in Qs. Qs is kind of choppy for a little bit, had a brief breakout, but then it just got slammed. Tried again at 320, failed, and then rammed hard at the close there. So not a huge range in Qs, 5-point range. It kind of gives me this idea that there is a pretty significant wall, because this was a lot of ramping on Monday, just holding above that 90 MA the whole time until late, after lunch New York. And then it hit this and it failed. And then yesterday it came up to the same area and failed. So I'm going to probably put like an order between 320 and 321. Maybe stops just above that. That's what I'm looking at. If it starts to rip on the open, then I'll wait until the time and sale slows down. But I kind of like selling this overhead resistance on Qs for right now. If it's going to play a contracted range, then I'm going to play those ranges. I want to trade those ranges. So Bitcoin was a big mover, and it got a little bit of a pop when Elon Musk, excuse me, had announced that Tesla is now accepting payments in Bitcoin. And again, this kind of goes to my Bitcoin 100K theory. I believe Bitcoin is going to 100K this year. I think Tesla and more companies are going to continue. Major companies are going to continue to open their doors to Bitcoin, accepting payments in Bitcoin. Traditional companies that weren't even thinking about such things before are going to be doing that. So it got a nice little pop, and you can see the impulsive corrective structure on this one here. So we have floor, pop, impulsive corrective, dynamics, dynamic support, in this case, the 9 holding, and then a little bit more of, extension above and beyond this. So short term, maybe that will hold. I'm not exactly super confident in that right now. It's not a level that I'm totally interested in. I like getting long Bitcoin on pullbacks into this monthly VWAP rate of this gold line. So we had to dip into it. Buyers came in, dip into it, buyers came in. So maybe around 535, I look to be a buyer. I'm a little concerned that this candle is below the body of this one here, but it also could be just setting up for a corrected pullback. So you have 2 candle rip, and you have corrected pullback, maybe a little more corrective. And it could either stop here at 49.7 and then rip higher, or it could drift a little bit lower into the 43s, in which case I'd gladly be a buyer. I would gladly be a buyer on Bitcoin at that price. So that's what I'm feeling on Bitcoin, but right now it's supportive. Let's get a different color. Not totally sold on this color. Looking at the intraday charts on Bitcoin, let's go to 4-hour. I'm liking as a short-term level. Short-term level, yeah, this right here, 54,284. I'm going to want this most recent bounce and rip. I'm going to want that to make it at least to 58, maybe 59.5, whatever that is, 59.7. Because then if we do that, then we have this structure in play at a minimum. Regardless of this, we have this structure in play. So I'd like it to make it here, and then it can kind of box around in there and then build for a breakout. But if it does hit here, then I would gladly be a buyer off that level. Gladly. That's kind of what I'm looking at Bitcoin. But Bitcoin it might get a new wave of strength that's been kind of choppy the last few weeks. So I feel like it's going to slowly build some long positions, and then it'll accumulate enough pressure and then work its way for an upside breakout. So that's kind of looking at Bitcoin. With that being said, GBTC being a really good proxy for that. It's kind of matching the price right now. So I'm kind of looking at where I'd want to get long GBTC. If we can get to 44, if we can get a dip to this area right here. So then I'd like to get long GBTC, which is basically, I'm looking at that. So right around there, I'd like to get long if we can. If it continues to, hold, I might look for a long around 46. What is that? Maybe 47. And ideally try and capture 58. So it'd be about $11 target, maybe $2, $3 stop on this one here. That's kind of what I'm looking at on GBTC. Okay, so we're going to take a look at top movers today, and then we're going to look at HD, TGT, Tesla, and Roblox. So top movers on the day so far, big volume movers. I look for stuff that's 600K and above. We have a fair amount, and you can see some Bitcoin stocks here like Mara getting a boost from that. Riot is a Bitcoin stock getting a boost from that. So we are seeing some kind of spill over into the Bitcoin stock markets. Or Bitcoin stocks. DLPN, a big one yesterday. Yeah, it's fading a little bit. I'm kind of done with DLPN. I think its move is pretty much done. It might consolidate a little bit, but I think we're going to see a rollover in this one here. So the ones I want to talk about, this one's up 76%, Hall of Fame Resort. Let's see what the news is. And if you have, good morning, Jackson, good to see you. Good morning, Shi-Chen. If you have stocks that you want to, stocks, FX pairs, doesn't matter, crypto, whatever it is, give me the symbol name, give me the symbol for it, time frame, 1 sentence description, bullish or bearish, and we will look at it. So Hall of Fame Resort Company, no results found. Oh, wait a minute. HOFV. We don't need the W. So let's get that out of there. Why does it keep doing HOFV? That's what we want. There we go. Okay, so it's got a partnership with Dolphin Entertainment to begin offering non-fungible tokens. Okay. Well, fans of pro football, sports entertainment, buy and sell exclusively content developed by HOV and its partners. Okay, so it's kind of riding that whole NFT wave right now. I'm noticing that these stocks, they tend to get a couple rips, maybe 1-2 days worth of rips, maybe a little bit more like TCAT, but then they fade. And they fade hard. So this is not something that I feel is like a good long-term play, in my opinion. But day trading, there are definitely some setups on these. So let's take a look at HOFB on the charts. Let's mark pre-market highs 879. Check in where that is on the weekly. See if we're running to overhead resistance. So we've had volume the last few weeks. Nothing great on the earnings. Here's the pre-market highs right here. That's where it is on the weekly. Just shy of all-time highs. So it ramped up to here and it's already faded $1.87. It's not the best. It's not the best. There might be a little bit to ride, but I think this one is, I feel like getting in and out quick. So if I look at 1 hour and where I'd want to trade this one, because what am I seeing right now? So I see overnight rip, very strong rejection, second attempt, fail. All these little wicks are, attempts to rally that are failing. So unless it can like stabilize and build a base here, then I could see it going a little bit lower. And I think, in my opinion, where I like to get long is somewhere around 550, maybe 6. So I think what I want to do is have this thing drift lower a little bit correctively, and then catch a really good bid over here. Watch the time in sales, watch the level 2, see if you start to see the bids outweigh the offers. Time in sales starts to get really strong. You see a good buyer come in, then I like to get long in the 6 to 550 area. That's kind of what I'm looking at this one here. So let me set up alerts on that one. Right above 6. And this way, if a price gets down there, I don't have to watch it. If price gets down there, then the chart will alert me, send me an email, and put a beep noise on my screen so I'll know exactly what to look for. So that's what I'm thinking on HOV or HOFV for right now. Along those lines, let's take a look at a couple others. Color Star Technology. Okay. CSCW. It's below my $3 range, so it's not my favorite. Finance cooperation agreement between subsidiary Color China Entertainment and doing to provide blockchain support for Color Star's World APP software. Interactive entertainment platform software known as Color World. Never heard of it. Let's see. I don't know. Can't say I feel great about this one. It's up 30%, 18 million shares, but it ripped again, new highs, false break, comes right back to it. Yeah, it's like there's a pretty strong seller right around 188, $2. So I think CSCW. Yeah, it's already down most of the gains. Where's your pre-market? $2 flat. It's below my $3 range. I generally don't touch stocks under $3. It's just not my thing. I don't find the liquidities good on those. Although 18 million shares. But yeah, most of these stocks don't run for as much as I want to. And so I like to catch some, pretty good runners. These stocks, if they get to $2, maybe $3, it's considered a big move, but I'm not really excited about a 50 cent or $1 move. I'm looking for $1 plus. So this resistance kind of makes sense. It's a pretty good level. That's a pretty good level. And you can see the breakdown leading into it. So delete this. And then you can see so you see bounce, 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 stuck, lower high, pressure, break. Comes right back to it, sells off, and today's pre-market highs hits this. So seems to struggle. Hasn't been above $2 in a couple of years. So this might act as overhang. We're going to put a sell alert above that in case it's able to really break above that. But if I was a penny stock trader, I would probably look towards 127. Somewhere between 127 and 115. Stops below $1. Wouldn't need a whole lot, maybe 40 cents max, and try and catch 90 to the upside. 80, 90 to the upside. That's kind of what I'm looking on this one here. It's not my kind of stock, but for those of you that trade penny stocks, that's how I'd roll with this one. Okay, we got a couple charts on the chart request. Joxan, good to see you. VLO, daily chart, Bolero. Bullish if it stabilizes in that major zone between 67.90 and 70.10. Okay, we'll go daily. 67.90. 67.90 to 70.10. Not totally seeing. My first area right here is this right here, 67.12. Let me see what's going on options activity. So up through around 80 put gamma is higher than call gamma. Call gamma doesn't start to get strong until 79 and above. So looking at this one, yeah, I kind of prefer a deeper pullback on this one. It struggled. It had a new high and then false break. It's just been selling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7 out of the last 8 days. Not my favorite right now. I think a little bit lower. Yeah, I think the first I'd touch this would be 67.12. And I'm going to want to see this catch a pretty good bid, at that point. If it were to get now to 60, 61, 62, that's not bad. That's not bad. Yeah. So take a look at it at 67. And if it struggles there, then, check for a reset more around 62. Then I think it could build, but it doesn't have a massive amount of options expiring this Friday. Excuse me. Was out yesterday in the cold mountain air. Got my throat bothered a little bit. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking on VLO. Wait for a little bit deeper pullback. Okay. Constantine once looks at DAX. Sure thing. I haven't checked in with DAX in a little bit. Looking strong. You want to look at M5. Okay, copy that. Let me switch this back to weekly, and then we'll go to the 5-minute. Short term, a little bit bearish. You got a PBO structure here. So it is finding buyers around, what is that, 14.56? Yeah, 5.6. Tends to find it, but short term, that's not my favorite. Especially, yeah. It's trying to stabilize here. Like dip buyers consistently have come in since the 22nd, right around 14.3, 14.4. So there might be a play down here. If that doesn't work, then you have to reset. Let's see, what do we got? I think this could reverse a little bit. Yeah, I think you might find some buyers come in around 14.4. Monthly view op is at 14.4 flat. So you might see some dip buyers come in, but I feel like this wants to roll over for a little bit more of a base. Okay, so yeah, I'm liking a little bit further dip on this one before getting long. I like right around here. If this fails, like if you wanted to long VIX, you were thinking bullish. Yeah. So if you wanted to long it, I would look more towards the 14.425, right around there between there and the monthly VWAP. If that fails, tight stop. If that fails, wait for a deeper pullback towards like 14.1, 14.2. And in my opinion, those are better levels. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I'm thinking on that one. So wait a little bit more on that one there. Okay, so I want to look at Target. I'm really bullish on Target and I'm really bullish on HD. I'm looking to get long via options, maybe some of the underlying stock. We have a nice parabolic move, corrected pullback right into monthly VWAP. It's held, then a little bit of a pullback and nice pullback to support here, rip. And then now it's building a decent corrective structure here. So I'm looking to play this corrective structure. I'd like to see if we can get a pullback to 175. I think that'd be a great one for a bull call spread. So you buy the calls here, you sell the calls here. And then if it hits here at the time of expiry, you collect max profit. So you'd have fixed risk, max profit on this one here. Another alternative is that it kind of runs into this, and then it builds higher lows, higher lows, higher lows, and then breakout. So I think target's gonna probably, unless it loses this corrective structure, which the bottom is just sub 170, I think target's gonna break 200 this year, and has a lot more potential to run in that if it clears out 200. So let's see if there's anything options wise. Yeah, call volume is call volume right now. Call gamma is pretty strong. It's significantly outpacing put gamma right now. So you're probably talking like 2, maybe 3 to 1 call to put ratio on that one. So yeah, like a 1 to 3, basically. Yeah. So I think this thing is going to be supported on dips. Doesn't have a whole lot of option expiry until April. The front month, April 16th. So I think there's some room for this to run until April 16th. Then it'll have a decent amount of exposure, but I'm not seeing heavy imbalance on this one here. So I'm looking at, I feel very good on the bullish prospects on target. They've been also doing a lot of great things with their online ordering, and their numbers are up across the board, and they expect that to continue. So they're kind of on point lately. They're doing everything right. And so I like that. Another one I think is going to be beneficial to continuing post-COVID economy is Home Depot. So Home Depot up over 100% since COVID lows. Up 100% basically. And we have a very nice wide corrective structure here with a false break and immediate rip in buying. So when you have a bullish trend like this, corrective structure at the top, and it breaks low below that, but then immediately recaptures it, that means that a lot of buyers were coming in wanting to get the cheaper prices on it. They didn't care that they were buying while the market was selling off. They felt like, hey, this is a really good buy at this price. 250 was a great buy, 250 to 255. And in 2 weeks, they erased all of that. So not only did they erase the 2 weeks of selling, but they eclipsed that. And now it's just sitting right at the highs. And so it feels like it wants to break out. It may get a pullback to 275. I think that's around 275. Yeah, it may get a pullback to 277, 275. If it gets back to 266, I gladly take that one. I think you could play it a couple ways. I think you can buy off the bottom. In my opinion, that's one potential play. Another one is, so you can just go straight longs on this one here. You could do bull call spread on this one here. That's the market. So you buy the calls here, sell the calls here. Fixed risk, max profit if it hits the top. You can also do bull call spread for it to just shy of 300. So I feel like Home Depot is going to hit 300 and then some. And looking at what's going on in options. Yeah, 280, it should find support. It's kind of running into a little bit of resistance right now. And if it clears 300, then I can see this making 310 before it pulls back. So there's not a whole lot of options expiring this until front month April. So yeah, another option is you could wait for this to kind of have a brief pullback, maybe towards monthly VWAP, build pressure, and then break out. So that's how I'm looking to play Home Depot on this one here. Okay. Wallball says late to the party. It's all good. Showing a great train, love TGT. Yep. Me too. Well, have you seen what happened to Kiwi last night? Are there macro implications? Maybe the housing market? Yeah, I have some friends in New Zealand that are, telling me that the market is incredibly overheated there. And so, anytime the central bank comes out with such strong language like that, you're going to see a lot of, selling in the currency. I could see it finding some support right around mean, it is kind of running into some support right here. Right around there, which is almost around current price, 69, the 69 handle. If I was going to get long on this, I mean, it's a pretty big reversal in this 74 to 69, 400 pips. Finally getting some volatility in the FX markets. I think next level for me would be 68. Yeah, 68. Because you don't need a whole lot of stop in this one here. Don't need a whole lot of stop. And you have a fair amount of potential upside. But this might be a multi-week sell-off. This might be a multi-week sell-off in Kiwi. Obviously, traders that were long Kiwi are going to be dumping positions throughout this week. The real question is, will it continue the rest of this week? Will it continue into next week? If we see just constant selling this week and next week, then you might have to wait for a deeper pullback before things stabilize. Ultimately, I'm bearish on the US dollar. My one concern about that is rising yields. That could have if we start to see yields materially rise, then we could see some USD strength, which when the yields start to rise is when Bitcoin started to struggle. But yields have stabilized this week. So that's why I've seen a little bit more stability in Bitcoin, in my opinion. So yeah, that could be, you'd almost have a double catalyst. People dumping Kiwis, yields rising in the US dollar. So it could create a further catalyst for this to the downside. But I am bearish on US dollar long-term for this year. I think the US dollar is going to, unless we get some crazy yield blowout, I think the US dollar is going to be lower on the year. And so I'm looking to trade that during strong carry currencies versus strong carry currencies. So yeah, that's what I'm looking. I feel like the reaction of the policy could definitely spread to other countries after seeing that. It's certainly possible. There's a lot of housing markets that are really hot right now. Canada, their housing market is insane. Like when I was in Montreal, I was living in a place that was like, it was nice, but modest. It was like 700,000. And that same place, and this has only been left in 2016, it's 5 years. That same place is now selling for 1.2. It's a huge appreciation. That's what it's like. It's like almost a 70%, plus gain, 60, 70% gain in 5 years. That's huge, huge appreciation. So yeah. Trollmaster Fictitious Fables of Europa. What a name. What a name. All right. You want to look at SPCB? No sellers. Supercom. No sellers? See if there's any news coming on this. SPCB. Oh, we got to change this to market. No, we're in the market. There we go. Okay, Color Star is getting a little bit of support off of 148, so we might have to check in with that. SPCW, any news? SPCB, sorry. Okay. Not really seeing a whole lot of volume push into this stock right now. Yeah, 160K. Its average volume is 10 million. Yeah, I'm not seeing the volume there today. It's just not there. You're gonna need to get above 1 million plus shares right now. It had a 1 hour rip and it's faded all that since then. Yeah, I don't know what was the base of that, but nobody's been buying it since then. And nobody's coming in massive volume. This is super low volume, 166K. So yeah, not something I'd touch. It doesn't have the volume trigger. It's not attracting interest. There's been no 1 hour buying and then constant selling for the last 3 days. I'm just not seeing a reason to get involved in this right now. Maybe there's some news event, but whatever it is, that news event, it hasn't come back into the markets. So I think you have to wait for a much dip lower, 150, maybe even down to, $1 before you consider this. But I'm not really seeing anything. Right now, unless there's some new news catalyst that comes out, I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing players really jump into this. And if you're going to trade something like this, you need something to move. If there's no volume, it's not worth it. You're just putting capital into something that's not going to move. So yeah, that's my thoughts on that one. Trollmaster Fictitious Fables of Europa. Is that like a game or something? It's a good name. Okay. Any last questions? Tesla is selling off to start. What's Q's doing? Q's rolling over. Yeah. Okay. So Tesla is down and it's, yeah. So on Monday, we were on Benzinga, get technical. We called that there was going to be a wall in Tesla around 700. And that is exactly what happened. Went right up like 40 cents and then just could not do anything there. So Tesla's got some downside pressure. If it breaks 658, then I think this is heading, you got 650 and potentially much lower. But it's just not rallying the way we're used to seeing Tesla rally. You know, it had decent base here, but now we're seeing lower highs, lower highs, lower highs. Now the rallies are just getting shallow. They're not much for Tesla. So I think it might find some buyers between 650 and 655. But if that fails, if 650 fails, then I think you're looking at these prior lows here. It's just not rallying the way we're used to seeing Tesla rally. So it's like it just continually finds sellers as it rises. And those sellers are continuing to put more and more pressure on it. So short term, I'm not constructive on Tesla at all. Okay, so let's see. Wallball says he loves your name as well. I also buy some long-term calls on MO. Altria Group. Okay. Let's see what we got on Altria. MO. I think this, yeah. Yeah, like once we get above 50, calls really start to outweigh puts. That's a pretty big rip. So it needs a little bit of a fade. I keep your eye on the monthly VWAP, 48.28. If that doesn't hold, then I like 45. So this might need to fade back a little bit before it rips, but it's trying to transition out of this bear trend. So you got, lower low, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low than this, and then a nice base and then rip out of it. So it's trying to transition and it just ran into a little too much, probably some profit taking there. So I think you see a little bit of pullback in my opinion. So watch the monthly VWAP. And if it gets past that, then look for a potential 45, because at 45, Ivy probably will have dropped a little bit. So you can get long calls and volatility at the same time. Otherwise, if you don't want to get long volatility and, long stock at the same time, then you could do bull call spread. So buyer calls here, sell calls further up potentially. But in my opinion, those are some potential ways to play it. That's how I would play it. Yeah. Yeah. 45 would be nice. 45 would be nice. I set alerts for both, but I feel like this could potentially transition. You got nice ascending volume on this continued rip. So probably some decent profit taking, but I think this is going to find support on dips. In my opinion, I think it'll find support on dips. Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad spot, Wallball. Not bad. Keep me up. Are you in the course? Yes. TTM course, Trading Masterclass. Tesla's already testing 658. Okay, I'm going to wrap it up pretty soon. Got to get to live trading with the members. A couple announcements. So you definitely want to hear this. So we got our new computer set up. As you can see, cameras in different position, everything like that. We're now running off we were running off 327 curve monitors, and we've gone to 4. Save so much space. And we're going to be testing some new streaming software this week and next week. So I think this Friday, I'm going to try and do a session with the new software. If it fails, then we'll cut the broadcast. Like if we're not able to get the software configured in time, then we'll cut the broadcast and then come back with a Zoom broadcast. But I'm going to do a broadcast this Friday at 6:30 and 6:30 Pacific, so 9:30 Eastern. That's the US market open. I'll do that for about an hour. And then next week, I'm going to do 4 or 5 pre-market live streams. We'll either do Monday through Thursday, or we'll go all the way through to Friday. Pre-market live streams here on YouTube for a week to kind of, get this new computer, a test drive, and, take it out for a spin, so to say, with the new software. So that's what we're looking to do on this. And I'm kind of excited, and I want to test it out I want to test its, capabilities basically. So we're going to try and push it, and we're going to do 4 streams next week, maybe 5. So be here Monday through Thursday next week, right at US Stock Market Open. We'll be doing this for all of next week. And for Trading Masterclass members, for next week as a special, we're going to do live trading. So it'll probably be anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half, but Trading Masterclass members will do live trading. And so I already share my trades in real time with my members, but we're going to do it via live stream for members only. So that'll be in the private members area. We'll do that. And I'm looking forward to do that. That should be fun and exciting. And it'll be cool because it'll be way more interactive than the live trading channel where I'm posting all my trades and everything like that. I think it'll be exciting. So if you're not in the Trading Masterclass, you have a reason to join. Also, this weekend, I'm doing the Options Bootcamp. We're doing an additional lesson on trading the option Greeks, understanding pricing volatility and how that's going to affect your option contracts, and how to use that to find the best options. So this is an extra lesson. We're going pretty deep in the option Greeks. If you haven't joined the Options Bootcamp on Saturday morning, actually at midnight on Friday, Pacific time, the price will jump $100. So if you want to join the Options Bootcamp, do it now, because as of Friday at midnight, that price jumps $100. There are going to be no exceptions. You didn't buy it by that time. That's part of the deal. You have plenty of warning. So if you want to get it before then. That's pretty much it. So I want the masterclass, but I'm a massive drawdown and had to do a complete reset. One of the best ways to reset a drawdown, get good trade recommendations. So yeah, let the demon off my shoulder into the option chain. High spirits. I know I can do this. Looking forward to chiming in wherever you're on. So cool. You'll see me this Friday, and then you'll see me all next week. But if you want to, at least get into the option bootcamp. If you can't get in the Trading Masterclass, get into the Options Bootcamp. Otherwise, you're wasting. It's economically irresponsible, as we say. So, okay, I'm going to wrap it up. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this, if you got something out of it, if you learned something about charts, technical analysis, trading, potentially how I trade. Hit that like button. We really appreciate it. Other than that, good luck trading today. Go make some money, and I will see the Trading Master class members in the live trade room in about 2 minutes. Good luck trading, and I'll see you then.